Have you been told that your newborn baby's head circumference isn't growing at the rate that is expected? However, not to worry about it, or just keep an eye on it. Hi there, it's Neesha from My Favourite Physio. In today's video, I'm jumping in to talk about head circumference, how to measure it, and what do those measurements mean for your baby. So here at My Favourite Physio, we see lots of babies and newborns for newborn baby checks. We often are also seeing babies because baby has a head tilt, a tight neck muscle, or a misshapen head that's gotten flat from lying on one side all the time. Part of our assessment involves looking at baby's growth. We look at baby's head circumference, their weight, their height, and we have a look at what their growth charts are tracking in their baby blue book. Recently, we met a family whose little one seems to be not quite growing at the expected rate for her weight, for her height, and her head circumference. In fact, her head circumference seems to have stopped growing and it is falling off the chart. The family doctor has told their parents, don't worry about it, it's fine, we'll just keep an eye on it. So there was some confusion for the parents as to what, if anything, to be concerned about their head circumference of their baby. So I thought I would jump in and talk about what is head circumference, how do we measure it. Often you'll find your doctor will measure baby's head circumference. We're measuring tape all around, and it does depend on baby's head shape as well as who is measuring, because sometimes the landmarks that each person take can change from visit to visit if you've seen different people. So really, ideally, you're going round the forehead, and we're going to that occiput right at the back of their head. So really the highest point. Now the problem is for some babies, if they're lying flat on their backs all the time, that becomes very flat. So, depending on who's measuring and whether they go up a little bit or down a little bit, that could make a difference of 1 centimeter or more in some babies. So really, we're looking at that occiput bone. We're looking at those temple bones and just above the ear. So we use landmarks that would help us keep consistent with our measurements. Now that measurement is then recorded in baby's blue book. There are growth charts, and you'll see head circumference being one of those charts. If a baby is born with a head circumference of 50 percentile, we expect that they follow that curve over time as they grow. If they were born with 10 percentile, that's the curve they should follow. If they're third centile, they should follow that. Now that baby actually was born with a third centile head circumference, and over time has actually plateaued and not followed that curve. So really that baby has dropped off the curve. That means that their head circumference is smaller than expected for their age. Now those are concerned. So when you look at the growth charts for head circumference, you've got your measurements, you should be expecting normal is to follow the curve that they were born at. You would be concerned if they shot up, and so they went from 50th centile to 70th centile on the growth chart for the head circumference. That's a concern, because that might mean that baby's head is growing too fast, and we would be concerned as to what could cause that. Is it that there's fluid in baby's brain that is causing the head circumference to grow really, really fast? So it is a red flag. That should be looked at more seriously than just waved off. The other thing is to look at is baby's weight and height on the same centile as their head circumference. So we're expecting if a baby was born at 50th centile for their height, their head circumference should be 50th centile, and their weight would be 50th centile. Although weight can be quite variable. So you can have babies who are a lot heavier, but if their height and head circumference stay on the same centile at birth and through their growth, then we're not too concerned. Now the other case scenario is, as I described, a baby's head circumference stops growing over time. So they drop off the chart. And it's always a concern if a baby drops below the third centile. That literally means that baby's head isn't growing much. It is much smaller, and anything under the third centile is a concern because basically we're worried that baby's brain's not growing. There are sometimes causes like if the skull is fused, it stops the skull from growing, not giving your brain space to grow. So it's really concerning if your baby's head circumference is dropping off the centile or crossing the centile, going too high. So if you've got a newborn baby, it's important to keep an eye on all those growth charts, particularly head circumference, because there's big implications for that. If you're ever in doubt, what you should do is to ring us here at My Favorite Physio, speak to one of our expert pediatric physiotherapists, rather than sit and wait because we're losing time that could be very precious for your baby's development. The number to ring here at My Favorite Physio is 02-9790-4233. And if you know somebody out there who's got a newborn baby, who's been told baby's head circumference isn't growing or it's growing too fast, if you notice baby's got a very big head in proportion to their body, why don't you like and share this video with them? Until next time, have a brilliant day. Bye!